it's day 2. We're already working on the doors. These are what I had discussed earlier prior in the video. These are the pre-cut kind of templated doors. Now, I mentioned it earlier, but why we're doing the template is because simply I didn't want to have to take door panels off to get to the mirrors, to take the mirrors off. Essentially, it has a cutout around here, which I'll come back to that, and then it has a little slit right here, so the film separates, so you can get that up around here, and then you bring the two pieces together. Now, what Bradley did on the template was he actually deleted this oval. So the film will cover this whole thing, similar to like bulking did, kind of with like the gas cap. It'll go over top of everything and then cut that out. So essentially what he's gonna do is when he lays it, then he'll go through here and he'll cut around there. It just makes it a much cleaner install. And I understand why. He was saying, you know, what happens is if you have the cutout here and then you try to pull this film up, you know, the template actually comes down and leaves about 1/8 of an inch in between the trim and the edge of the panel, or the edge of the film. So what he did was he extended it because he wants that edge to go up under the trim here. But what happens is if you don't extend that and you have the hole cut out, when you go to slide that up and maybe try to tuck it to make it look cleaner, then you're shifting this hole up, so then that won't line up. So you delete that, get everything shifted where you want, and then at the end you can cut that out and make it a nice easy cut. Makes total sense. Me as a newcomer to this game totally understand it. So he's up there refilling the bottles up. You can see the panels already getting cleaned. That'll be squeegeed down, prepped, and then we'll install the film. As with all the other panels, this is just a nice IPA wipe down, alcohol wipe down, just using literally like we did earlier, just 99% isopropyl alcohol. Get it all clean and even wipe down the areas around the surrounding door, right? You want that all to be as clean as possible. Just like before, wet it all down with your solution. Bradley squeegees it down. You don't want to use a towel for linting purposes, so the squeegee is the best kind of course of action to get everything purely clean. You guys can see it's already pre-cut. I'm gonna help hold it here until he gets it where he needs to be. And this is the mirror part where you separate it and get it up around the arm of the mirror there. See how it's being tucked right up to that trim piece. You can see the door. See, there's no cutout for the door. So cut that out last. It's already cut in the shape of the door. Again, it's extended a little bit. Bradley pumped out the edges, so we have plenty of room to wrap everything around. I can show you on camera there. You can see the edge line right here. That'll get tucked in between around the back of the door there. And there's the separation. You guys can see it right on film right over here, and they'll butt up nice and neat. You would barely see it. Remember, if we had the mirrors and everything off, then we would just be bulking that and laying a flat piece, and we would have to kind of be as precise around there. Film's starting to be cut out around the door handle, so we can continue to lay all of this area and that. Just makes a cleaner install when you do it this way. We're working left to right here. Bradley's finishing up around the door handle area. I should be starting to pull the rest of this down here. There's your door. Obviously this will get trimmed up and tucked back around, but you can see what Bradley did around the door here. So you can see the cutout, and then we'll go back and he'll trim all around here and get that all nice and tucked so it'll be nice. And at the bottom of the door, same thing. He's actually rolling that up. That'll be tucked up under the bottom of the door. But yeah, that's a cutout templated piece. essentially it's the same process, a little bit more work. In a nutshell, the process is all the same, right? Exactly. You know, how you work, how to work the film, what ways to go. And again, I'm just kind of sitting back right now and really just watching. I think I'm gonna give a go at the wing near the end here on my own, but you know, I learn by watching and then doing. So I'm just sitting here absorbing this, and kind of, we were talking, I'm essentially trying to think of what he's going to do right before he does it. And I'm following along actually pretty well, and then I just ask him a question. I said, well, why do you do it this way? I thought I would have done it this way, and answer it. So it's a really eye-opening experience of all the work that goes into this, and it's really cool to just sit here. Sometimes I feel useless, but that's what I have to do. I gotta sit here and just watch it absorb, and you know, I'm starting to learn how to handle the film. I didn't know that there's certain ways to handle the film, like out of the box, no clue. So just all that learning when you can be a little violent with the film, when you have to be really delicate with the film, which I'm learning, picking up, just kind of watching what he's doing here, and starting to get my hands on it and play with it. So that's pretty cool. Situation reports, I am about to do the passenger side GT4 side scoop by myself. So it doesn't look like it's anything crazy, but there's a couple different shapes going on. You got the top shape, the corner shape, here, down here. I gotta be able to get it to wrap around. Again, we're using a template, but still, this will be my first kind of full piece on my own. So let's see how it goes. There you guys have it. Now there's a couple little spots, two little fingers right here. We'll wait till that dries out, and then these two to three air pockets here. I'm just gonna have to let air dry, and I'll just pop them with a syringe needle. But now you can see the outline of the GT4. Got that lined up, and everything's wrapped around the edge. So I don't think it was too bad. I'm proud of myself.
I know. It's, yeah.
Listen, you gotta start somewhere, people. I'll take it. You know what the most important part of this was? It's on the passenger side, so I'll never see it.
It's always a positive.
Realistically, if I want to redo this, I think what I'll do is have Bradley cut me another one, and I'll just pull it off or print like four of them.
At least it's a small piece. It's easy.
Right. You know, print 4 of them or whatever, and then I'll try it again. But I think it'll be okay once we get the bubbles popped. It should look totally fine. So the hardest part for me is learning the stretching. Like, I understand the prep, I understand how to tack it, to hold it, to move it in place, but then there's just certain areas where you have to be aggressive with the film and pull it and stretch it, and that's where, you know, like he said, years of practice comes into play, and I have about a day. So, yeah. I just want to take a time out and give props to this dude. You guys saw the initial time lapse of us laying that huge piece. This is why it's all one piece here. Now, I know you'll say, well, the GT3s are all built into the rockers, but Bradley even just said this swooping line right here, this is more flat and aggressive. So like right in here, there was so many, what do you call it, fingers, bubbles, like, I'm not gonna lie, I was standing back there like, this ain't happening. And I'm standing there like, I don't know what to do. So I'm holding, I'm pulling, but it's looking crazy good. So just gotta trim up the excess there, obviously, and then repeat it on the other side, right, buddy?
Yeah, repeat on the other side. The other side's yours.
Okay, yeah. That's gonna go real well. We're working on the bumper, and I say again, Bradley. But it's pieced, so this is kind of another section where you could bulk this, right, if you really wanted to,
Definitely.
But, you know, with two people and only really realistically one who knows how to do film, I was totally okay with piecing it. And when you piece it together, and I'll show you some of the lines here, if it's done properly, which Bradley's super OCD like me, you'll never see it. And if you keep those clean and take care of it properly, you won't have an issue seeing those lines. So basically it's a center piece and then what, 2 outer pieces, right?
So it's one main piece right here.
Right.
This is all one piece, but there's just a slit right here, so you can join these two a little bit easier. So the bumper's realistically actually only 2 pieces, so you have your full main piece, and then the middle piece right here is separate.
So I'm gonna have Bradley point to the line, but you guys can't really see it on camera, but there it is, right there.
A little seam that goes right along here.
But if I bump the camera back and go like this, you'll never see that. So, and then what we did was, this is actually, we'll cut this out and then put the washers back in, so it'll be totally nice and symmetrical and you won't see any cutout for there. Obviously the side markers are pulled out so we can wrap all that around, but I'll come over here and show the top. You can see kind of being worked on, and all this stuff will be wrapped around. So that about wraps it up after the bumper's done. So one of the last steps that Bradley's gonna do now, this is something you're not necessarily going to do, is, as you can see, I have some stuff marked on tape, and they're little air bubbles. So you can see the area that I wrapped has a bunch of them in because I suck. But we're gonna pop those, and Bradley's got a method and a certain way of doing that he would do, you know, if he wraps a panel and it has an air pocket or 2 in it. There's not much you can do about it, right? It's just essentially pop it, and it's never gonna be perfect, right? Like no matter how many times you rewrap a panel, there's always the potential. You're putting something on top of paint, and the time in between doing that, even if you have the most clean surgical room, there's a very high possibility you'll get a bubble or something. And the only way to properly do this is Bradley's got this ninja method of a needle.
It's just a typical insulin needle. You can pretty much buy them anywhere. And you basically just prick the side of the needle and then push the air out with your thumb, or you can use a squeegee or something like that.
Right. So we'll show here. This is something again that Bradley would do. The customer normally wouldn't do this, so he would be.
So this one actually has some like alcohol still left in it, so we'll go ahead and pop that one. So you can just push the edge of the. That's what you're left with.
Alright, if the camera wants to focus, because it sucks. No more bubbles. So we'll pop this little guy right up top here. You guys can see him right there.
This one?
We'll pop him, yeah. And there you can see there's a little tiny mark, but it's way better than showing a bubble. And you guys can see there's a couple up here, so we'll go ahead and do the same thing right up there. We're just gonna walk around the car and do that to some of the bigger bubbles. Not much you can do if there's a speck of dirt or hair under there. Thankfully, we did a pretty good job. Really, it's just minor bubbles. And some of these areas that we have marked, like on the tape, so we went around and marked some areas, they're not all air bubbles. Like this area right here, we wanna make sure we have the edge pulled down. So a lot of this tape mark stuff is checking the edges where things are wrapped around, especially like around the headlights. Yeah, it's looking good. Again, just making sure all the sides in here are tucked and pulled down. So we're gonna go ahead and do that, and then we're gonna talk about the care of the clear bra and kind of the best way that you should take care of this prevent lifting and dirt in the edges and everything like that.